So it should come as no surprise that a meta remake of some once banned horror movie called Faces of Death wasn't exactly on my bingo card this year, but I have to admit that the concept they decided to go with to pull this off ended up being like a super smart idea. So does the movie go on to leave a lasting impression, or is it just one big bunch of wasted potential? Let's talk about it. Faces of Death is the brand new horror movie that has people talking, and it's about a content moderator who stumbles upon a series of violent videos that appear to reenact death scenes from the infamous 1978 film Faces of Death. In an online world where nothing can be trusted, she must determine whether the violence is fake or unfolding in real time. So I love a good horror movie as much as the next guy that's not afraid to stick a mirror up to society and act as a cautionary tale to show us that something we're doing in our everyday lives is actually hurting us little by little. And even though I haven't seen the original infamous video nasty that is Faces of Death, I know enough about it to realize that if you're able to take that concept and give it a modern spin to digest what's going on with our social media usage nowadays, you've probably got a pretty good idea on your hands. And it's actually kind of the perfect fit when you think about it, right? Because that original film showcased kind of a fake documentary style of gruesome and brutal murders being shown on screen, and a ton of people were shocked by it, thinking that what they were watching was home video footage of these terrible illegal acts being committed. Fast forward to 2026, the algorithm's pushing someone dying onto my smartphone like once a week at this point. I mean, what is going on? And keeping in mind the concept of that original project, when I heard that a brand new horror movie was being made that kind of played around with that plot a bit and used it as a jumping off point to talk about just how bad social media is and how it's basically just the Wild West, and taking this content moderator and putting her at the forefront of this story where all the videos that she's seeing, she's not sure how to verify if they're real or not, and being posed with the question of if she should take off this terrible video from the site, is definitely a project I wanted to see the impact of. But if 2018 LeBron on the Cavaliers taught us anything, it's that one great piece, even an all-time one, can't carry the whole damn thing to the finish line by itself. And that is exactly what happens here with Faces of Death. When it comes to the story they decided to go with here, I think it's pretty clear by now that I think the concept they have at their disposal is really great. No problems there. It's an awesome idea. But I think when you look a little closer at the actual intricacies of this script and figuring out how they're going to get us from point A to point B through this narrative, that's when the cracks start to show a bit, unfortunately. The general idea is obviously intriguing enough on its own, so every once in a while, the film is going to make decisions that it's going to make you feel like it's headed down the right path and that it's actually going to do something cool with its identity. But as we get down the stretch and closer to the conclusion and learn more about this killer and what makes him tick, I feel like it just takes the most well-trodden path and fades into a more generic serial killer movie experience when I really thought there was going to be enough here for it to stand on its own 2 feet. It's also a stupid character decision bonanza in this film. And look, I'm a horror movie lover, so I know there are tons of good horror movies that have characters doing stupid shit left and right, but I feel like when you're trying to be whip smart and create an eye-opening social commentary, that's really when you got to tighten up the screws a little bit there. And you know, just to level set here for a second, this movie isn't like offensively bad or anything like that. You know, it's not going to be on my worst of the year list when it's all said and done. It definitely has its good moments over the course of the story, but I just feel like when the lights went on in the theater and the credits started to roll, I hadn't seen anything that I hadn't seen done before in like 100 different serial killer movies. It left plenty of juice on the table. When it comes to the performances in this movie, Barbie Ferreira plays our lead character, and I think she does a fine job with the material she's given here. She's probably most well known from her time spent on the series Euphoria, where she does a good job handling all the comedic beats and ridiculous situations that are thrown her way. And she actually does that a little bit in this movie, because despite it being about a deranged serial killer just posting the wildest shit you've ever seen online, since the story still relates to the backbone of social media and just the most over-the-top and ridiculous stuff that's posted on there on a daily basis, there's plenty of stuff played for laughs in here too. The true bright spot of this movie is clearly Dacre Montgomery, though. His villain is super menacing, and he's got this creepy aura around him whenever he's on screen. Even if he might actually be a little too overutilized in this movie, we spend a lot of time with his character that might actually reduce some of the mystery around what he's got going on, but he's still doing some compelling work in this project regardless. Outside of our 2 main leads, no one's really out there doing anything all that interesting or anything to write home about. Charlie XCX is here in the movie for a few minutes doing whatever Charlie XCX does, and she is definitely an actor in the movie. I'll just leave it at that. Let's talk about the scare factor here for a second, because for a movie that is based off of a film that shocked people and made them think that the kills they were witnessing on screen were done specifically in real life for the sake of this movie, this was extremely tame by comparison for some reason. The kills that we get that are done at the hands of Dacre Montgomery's character when he has to actually get down and dirty are decently satisfying, but the montage of the videos he's uploading to his social media page, they just really don't bring the heat. I mean, it's mannequins bopping a guy on the head with a hammer over and over, mannequins shooting a guy with an assault rifle until he's dead. They're just not really giving us anything that I'm going to be thinking about longer than 5 seconds after the movie ends. It just doesn't leave an impact. And I'll go back to something I said earlier on, because that's really where my frustrations actually lie. What was offered up to us isn't terrible by any means. It's the wasted potential that makes a situation like this the true bummer. Overall, guys, Faces of Death is a horror movie that has a really smart premise when you consider the state of social media and doom scrolling as a whole right now. Because good horror movies are able to dissect and make you think about some societal norm that needs to be changed, but this film is really lacking in the execution department. The kills on display are kind of goofy, the acting outside of our two leads isn't too strong, and it doesn't take the necessary steps to leave a lasting impression. Now, I didn't have an awful time with it or anything like that, but a good concept can only take you so far, brother. Faces of Death gets a Sully score of 2.5 stars. So that's my review of the latest horror movie. What do you think is the best serial killer film that we've ever gotten is? I think I gotta go with Zodiac from my guy David Fincher. That one is an absolute masterpiece, but let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.